I'm here tonight to introduce Rebecca Friedrichs, and she is the face of a national movement to restore the voices. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let me scoot this up. I thought my voice projected a lot more than that. I am here to introduce Rebecca Friedrichs. She is the face of a national movement to restore the voices and authority of parents and teachers in America's schools. She has led the plaintiff in Friedrichs Teachers Association, a federal lawsuit argued before the U.S. Supreme Court in January 2016, seeking to give teachers and other public employees the right to decide for themselves whether or not to fund or accept union representation. The court was poised to rule 5-4 in Rebecca's favor until the sudden passing of Justice Scalia left the case deadlocked in a 4-4 decision, allowing the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision against her to stand. Having witnessed for decades union politics and tactics degrading our schools and national character, and sensing that millions of like-minded supporters were feeling stunned and discouraged, Rebecca set to catalog her experiences as a teacher and mother, dealing with years of union abuse of her children, others, and herself. The resulting book, Standing Up to Goliath, is an expose told through engaging personal story and provides a roadmap for parents, teachers, and students to unite to combat this abuse. In concert with her book, Rebecca is launching for Kids and Country a national community of parents, faith leaders, teachers, students, and citizens working to restore authority in our schools so we can bring healing to our country. Her writings have appeared in outlets such as the Orange County Register and The Hill, and she's appeared on numerous radio and television news outlets, including CBS News, NBC, Fox News, C-SPAN, and NPR. She also is the host of a successful PragerU video on the reasons why teachers' unions fight school choice, power, and money. She lives in Southern California, and her husband Charles and sons Kyle and Benjamin. Can we please give a warm welcome to Rebecca?
Thank you, and you have to give me a minute to get this computer back to where I need it. I'll connect it. Oh, now you know I like Barney Fife. Well, thanks for being here tonight. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about comprehensive sexuality education, and then I'm going to help to connect some dots, because I was told that there might be some teachers here tonight, so I wanted to help teachers to understand just how comprehensive sexuality education came into our schools and what we can do about it. So, there are no children in the room, correct? You promised there'd be no children. And that's important, because what we're teaching our children is not appropriate for children. And I'm going to talk to you about some of what I have seen and read in the 5 curriculums that have been approved in this state for our children. There are only 5, and they all include information very similar to what I'm about to share with you. So I apologize to you in advance that what I'm about to share is embarrassing, especially to you men. I apologize for some of the things I have to say in front of you today, but our children are hearing it in the classroom. So it's time that we understand this and we do something about it. I just feel morally obligated to share it with you. In 2013, a parent from Northern California sent an email to me entitled, "The Latest Horror." She shared a curriculum that was used in her daughter's 5th grade classroom. Her daughter was 11 years old at the time. The curriculum was written by Planned Parenthood, and it's called Making Proud Choices. It's still one of only 5 curriculums approved by the state of California under the new California Healthy Youth Act. The first thing she pointed out to me was a lesson called the Condom Relay Races. I'm reading from my notes so that I don't get anything wrong tonight. I read the entire teacher's manual, and I felt sexually violated during reading it. I had to get up several times and pace across my home. The condom relay races. Here are the highlights. The teacher has to instruct the children on the use of condoms. She's told to use her arm to demonstrate the use of condoms. She's then told to teach the children all the steps in using a condom. The children are divided into 2 teams in mixed company. Boys and girls together. Recall this child was 11 years old. The teacher is instructed to bring out 2 anatomically correct, fully erect adult penis models and to place them on the table. The children are told that each child will run to the penis model, place the condom on the penis, tell the group every correct step to using the condom, remove the condom, run back to his or her teammate, smack the hand, like a relay race, and now the next child gets a turn to be mortified. The first team to finish wins, and the teacher is told to make this a fun game. My first instinct was this is child abuse, and any child forced to touch and view a fully erect male penis model would be mortified and disgusted and traumatized for life. I don't think I would have ever gotten married had I gone through that as an 11-year-old. The initial page of this teacher's manual that I read would give a person the idea that the program simply focuses on preventing sexually transmitted diseases, AIDS, and unplanned pregnancies, which in my opinion is too much for an 11-year-old, by the way. But as soon as you turn the page, the overt sexual indoctrination of children begins. Even the rules, which were to be posted throughout the 8 weeks of the lessons, are a form of indoctrination and could lead to the abuse of children. The second rule, don't yuck my yum. Wow. W-O-W, all in caps. That's the rule. States, quote, if someone feels the need to make which may be a sexual activity, we say, wow. We don't say, ew, because we don't want to say anything bad about something someone else likes. This would take away the safe space of the classroom, and not everyone would feel comfortable sharing, end quote. Safe space? There's not one thing safe about these lessons for children or teachers. I know we're all mortified for the kids, but put yourself in the place of a teacher who has to teach this stuff and is, told this is the curriculum you're going to teach. I'm so upset I have to get myself some water. I feel violated every time I talk about this. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm only going to share one more highlight. There are many, many more. And there's too much to share with you tonight, so I can't share every single highlight. But the next highlight from this curriculum states, quote, proud and responsible behavior includes protecting yourself by using a condom when you have sex. By sex, we mean vaginal, anal, or oral sex, VAO. They casually refer to it as VAO throughout every page of the curriculum. Children are taught to protect themselves using, quote, a dental dam or a condom. I had no idea what a dental dam was, so I Googled it. I was so embarrassed, I could not bring myself to open up any of the links. I was afraid I would be taken to pornography or something. But a dental dam was designed for oral surgery. That's all good. But our schools now think it's a good idea to teach our children that they should use a dental dam when they are engaging in oral to anal sex. This is being taught to our children in California public schools. And it didn't start in this state. It's been around for a while. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my slides here and try to help you connect some dots tonight. The California Healthy Youth Act. I don't have a clicker, so I apologize for being a little lame here with my mouse. California Healthy Youth Act had the following coalition of supporters. Take a look. Coalition of supporters. The California School Boards Association supported this. The California Teachers Association supports this. And shockingly, the California Parent Teachers Association, the PTA. Why would the PTA support something that's so harmful to children? And why would the CTA support something so offensive to, I don't know one single solitary teacher who would teach this. Not one. There are a few activist teachers who show up in our schools, but the real ones, the ones that love the kids, the ones who understand that children are innocent, precious, little, adorable, loving, they're not sexual objects, those teachers would never, ever teach this. So I found that shocking when I read that. And just in case you don't believe me, because a lot of times teachers don't want to believe this stuff, especially. Here's a letter from the ACLU. And the ACLU is talking, they sent it to county superintendents to let them know about the implementation, and writing on behalf of ACLU, and they just talk about the Healthy Youth Act, and they want you to, they're going to help you implement it, because by the way, if you don't implement it, they come out and harass you. So they want to make sure that we all implement this in our schools, and that it's mandatory for students in middle school and high school. And then the rest of this letter, you'll see right here where the ACLU tells you right here, that is why California established requirements for sexual health education over a decade ago, and why the California Healthy Youth Act was strengthened and updated those requirements, was enacted last year with the support of the California School Board Association, the California State Parent Teacher Association, and the California Teachers Association, among others. So you see it for yourself. And if you don't believe me, you can Google this. You can find it on the ACLU. It's a PDF. Whoops, sorry. I need to get a clicker. So I'm going to go over, for everybody, just some of the resolutions and new business items of the National Education Association. So if you're a teacher who pays to the California Teachers Association, that's your state union. Your national union is the National Education Association, just for any of you that don't know what NEA stands for. So every year, the NEA has something called the Representative Assembly, and that's where teachers go and they're supposedly supposed to be representing all of us who are at the boots on the ground level. It used to be an 11,000 strong, but it's now about 8,000. And unfortunately, I have several teacher friends, about 24 of them, who have been serving at the NEA Rep Assembly for over 30 years. And every year they are bullied, they are spit upon, they are told they belong in hell, and all sorts of things because they dared to speak out against comprehensive sexuality education. They dared to bring truly medically accurate information and say this is not healthy for children, and they get bullied at the NEA. And I think teachers need to know that that's how we're being represented. Am I causing that to happen? Okay. So I'm just going to go over some, so you can see it with your own eyes, what the NEA stands for. Gosh, so sorry. There we go. So this is NEA. Resolution B53, sex education. You can find this in the NEA resolutions document, which can be downloaded now from the NEA.org website. I highlighted just the stuff that I thought you would find interesting. Teachers in health, well, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. Teachers and health professionals must be qualified to teach in this area and must be legally protected from censorship and lawsuits. My first question is, why are they worried about censorship and lawsuits unless they're pushing something we're going to want to sue them over? And the other thing you need to understand is that they have a certain way of, like, I'm not qualified to teach this, even though I taught 28 years in California public schools. I'm not qualified to teach this because I won't teach the stuff I just read to you. So if I refuse to teach it, they made sure to write into the law, into our California law, and you can find that on our government website, right on AB 329, if you look up the law, read it for yourself. If a teacher refuses to teach it or is not qualified to teach it, then the experts come in and teach it. They're from Planned Parenthood and groups like that, so the kids will get it for sure. So the teacher can escape, but the children can't. Now, there are some opt-out provisions. If parents see the letter and they know to opt out, they can opt out of some of it. They can't opt out if it shows up in the kindergarten class, the teacher reads about gender dysphoria or whatever. You can't opt out of that. There's only some you can opt out of. So it's really scary for parents. Okay, let me show you the next. So I wanted you to see here that this is B53 again, National Education Association. They tell you all the things they want to make sure we cover, and they want to make sure that we cover diversity of culture and diversity of sexual orientation and gender identity. So people don't realize, but it's the teachers union that's behind this stuff too. And I want to point this out because it comes up again later in a couple slides. Okay, and they also want to make sure that age appropriate is really important here, because what I read to you, was that age appropriate? Well, they think it is. That's the scary thing. Those 5 curriculums were approved by the same folks that passed this stuff, the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, all the same groups. And so they have a very, I'll say it, they're wrong. It's not age appropriate. I couldn't even see some of this stuff in a drunken frat party, to be honest with you. My husband's disgusted by it. And he's been in drunken frat parties in his life, you know? So they also constantly say medically accurate, but when you look at the actual curriculum, it's not medically accurate. They're telling children to have anal sex with condoms. There are no condoms that have been approved for anal sex. These children could end up ill for life. This is not funny. You know, it's tragedy. Okay, so that you have to include the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning LGBTQ issues. This should include but not be limited to information on sexuality, sexual orientation, and gender expression. The unions are very, very, very hung up on sex and the whole gender, what do they call it when you have, there's all the genders? I can't remember what it's called. Spectrum, the spectrum of genders. Okay, so I asked you to remember that one part because it was going to come up again. This was NEA New Business Item 155 in 2017. So when they go to that representative assembly, they bring up new business items and they vote on them. I'll be showing you some in a few minutes. So this one, NEA will use existing media to publicize school districts implementing inclusive sex education curriculum that reflects the beliefs of NEA Resolution B53 that we were just looking at. Sex education, B, the one I highlighted for you, diversity of culture, and diversity of sexual orientation and gender identity. So why is this stuff suddenly so important in our schools and our kids can't even read? Because the NEA wants it to be important in our schools, and because teachers who don't even know they're funding this are funding this. That's why. I'm going to play a little video for you. This is my friend Barb Amadon. Right here, she's a Washington State teacher. She's retired now, but she taught for years and years. Wonderful lady. And I just want to show you a 2-minute video we made of her story to help you understand, connect the dots on the next part of my presentation. Let's hope I can pull this off. I'm probably going to need some help.
I was a school teacher for 37 years, and I was forced as a government employee to pay union dues. We had a law in Washington State so that government could not spend the money of union members on political activities. We started getting amazing amounts of political mail telling us who to vote for. I called our union president and he told me that there was no money going from our dues to the political causes. So I thought, I'm just going to find out for myself. I eventually found a discrepancy where the teachers union, WEA, made a huge loan, $210,000 to the PAC, and then the PAC spent it on political activities. So 3 months later, in their documentation, I find that the WEA forgave that loan. I decided to see furthermore what the union was doing. So the NEA had 17 pages of resolutions, and most of those resolutions had nothing to do with teachers or children. It had everything to do with all kinds of political things, positions on nuclear war, Planned Parenthood, anti-life statutes for euthanasia. I thought, teachers need to know this. So we decided to publish this newsletter and talk about union spending. Many of the teachers who subscribed to our newsletter decided that we would sue the teachers union and challenge them as a group to be honest about how much money they were spending on politics. After 2 lawsuits and 10 issues of this newspaper, I received a subpoena and a notice that I was being sued by the teachers union. It was not lost on me that the teachers union sued me with my own dues. And it was clear during the depositions that they wanted to intimidate us. But we weren't scared. I'm not anti-union whatsoever. I think unions can be good when they represent teachers. When the union funds candidates and causes that I don't support, I feel really frustrated and powerless because my money is going to support that. Having a government mandate that we belong to a union is wrong.
Can she get it right twice? I had a good teacher. Okay, so I wanted to show you Barb's story just so you would understand what I'm going to go over now, and that is a few new business items from, these are all the National Education Association. So this was new business item 30 in 2017. I'm not sure if everyone in the room is familiar with the Southern Poverty Law Center, but they are the group that came out with a hate map, and I'll show you a picture of that hate map in just a minute. The Southern Poverty Law Center is just not very kind. Let's put it that way. In partnership with the Southern Poverty Law Center, the NAACP, ACLU, GELSON, that's Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, National Center for Trans Equality Human Rights Campaign, and any other legal and human rights groups of related concerns, NEA will track incidents of discrimination, racism, homophobia, and transphobia, as well as anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all other forms of religious discrimination and bigotry in our public schools. Were you wondering who made up those terms? You've been hearing a lot lately. The data will be shared with districts to educate and eradicate hate through the development of programs that include, but are not limited to, training on unconscious bias, culturally responsive instruction, and the Anti-Defamation League. This costs you 60 grand, teachers. Unconscious bias, they've been training teachers on this all across the country. I don't know if any of you have been trained on it yet, but it's, if you're white, you're automatically a bigot. My students come, there are 42 languages on my campus. I don't even notice color. But I'm a bigot, according to these folks. That I'm a hater because I'm white. My son has gone through this because he's white too. He's bad because he's a white male, and he's even worse because he's a Christian. And then he's even worse because he's a conservative. And then he's even worse because he's straight. And he gets bullied constantly for that. So I wanted to show you this and help you to understand that right after this business item was passed, about a month later, was when Southern Poverty Law Center came out with that hate map. Here's a picture. This is just a screenshot of the Southern Poverty Law Center hate map page. This is, you know, what a nice way to represent teachers. We're working with Southern Poverty Law Center. If a student of mine did that, there'd be a big problem. We don't behave that way in schools. I'm Mrs. Friedrichs at school. I don't use foul language. Neither do my students. Neither do you. Most people don't. But this is what they're up to. And when you look up this, I wanted you to see this so you can look it up yourself. You can Google it. When you come down here, you can sort by all groups. If I could have screenshotted the whole thing, I couldn't get the whole page, but you'll see down here, there are 954 different spots on the page where they show the hate groups. And when you come here and you go down to all groups, guess who they are? Christian groups, Catholic groups, Judeo-Christian, Jewish, they're Jewish groups. Anybody who dares to stand for traditional marriage is on here. A lot of my friends are on this map. And about 2 weeks ago, there's a group that's standing against comprehensive sexuality education, a group of parents. They're called United Parents. They were just added to the hate map a couple weeks ago because they dared to speak out against children being taught that they should have anal sex with each other. That's what hate is considered. That's a lie. None of that's hate, right? We know that. Why are the teachers' unions involved with these people, and why are they using my money to do it? The teachers' unions claim that people like me are free riders and we don't, appreciate their representation. They don't represent me when they're doing this kind of stuff. My local union represented me fine. They were sweet teachers like me who love the kids. We're talking about state and national unions here today. Okay, new business item number 46 from 2017 also. NEA will develop an online toolkit to assist communities and educators in combating the insidious hate speech and actions of white supremacists, nationalists, the so-called alt-right. That's me. I'm a Christian. They called my son white supremacist several times. He doesn't have a prejudiced bone in his body and he's never harmed anyone, but he's white. The toolkit will identify the groups behind the propaganda and provide counter-messaging and techniques to help protect our students, our educators, and our communities. Teachers, that cost you 40 grand. New business item 36, this is from this year, 2018. You'll notice it's adopted. NEA shall use existing digital media, post a list of known individuals with businesses who are committed to refusing services to same-sex couples and or LGBT individuals. Remember the man who wouldn't bake the cake? He served that gay couple for years. He didn't have anything against them or against them being gay. He just didn't want to participate in their wedding because it was against his religion. He just won at the Supreme Court. Why is the teachers union against somebody like that? What does that have to do with teaching? What does that have to do with representing teachers? NEA new business item 86 from 2017. I put this one up because this one personally impacted my friends. I told you I have about a dozen friends who serve at the NEA rep assembly every year. They've been doing so for 30 years, or some of them more. And they get abused every year. Well, one of the things they did was they started caucuses to try to combat a lot of what you've just seen. And so one of their caucuses is the NEA ex-gay educators caucus, because NEA bullies ex-gays. You're not allowed to be ex-gay because it's against their narrative to be ex-gay, because you're born gay and you can't change. Well, these people have been redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ, and they feel the redemption in their life, and they are living a different life. And they're loving to their gay friends, they're loving to everybody, but the NEA bullies them. And so they started an NEA ex-gay educators caucus. There's also a Creation Truth outreach that comes with an expo booth, and a Creation Science educators group that comes every year to share their information at the expo. Well, last year, the union decided they couldn't put up with that anymore. So they wrote this new business item. That passed, by the way. For the 2018 RA, NEA will thoroughly review and evaluate RA exhibitors' materials for the information that is offensive, obscene, or in bad taste. Creation, Science, creation truth and ex-gay is offensive and obscene? Based on the findings of the review, the NEA will enforce its standing rules for B, but this is referring to some other rule, as they relate to exhibitors found in violation of the aforementioned rules because of concerns brought by 2017 RA delegates. Special scrutiny will be made. My friends were scrutinized this year. They didn't think they'd get in. They did. Thankfully, they did. But this is the kind of harassment Christian teachers face at the NEA. Why? Why are they harassing Christians? I teach with Muslim teachers and I love them. I would never harass them. They're wonderful, good people. I teach with Jewish teachers and I love them and I would never harass them. Why does the NEA harass me? Why do they harass people of faith? What does that have to do with representing us? Now, this one's really interesting. I brought it tonight because I know that a lot of you have been fighting AB 2943. AB 2943 is here in California. It will probably pass, and if it passes, all of a sudden, pastors will no longer be able to help people who have unwanted same-sex attraction. They just want to be counseled. They won't be allowed. If AB 2943 passes, pastors will no longer be allowed to do that. Is this a communist country? Why can't a person who, I guess God spoke on that one. Why can't a person who has unwanted same-sex attraction get help if they want it? What's wrong with them getting help? It's their life. It's their choice. But the NEA doesn't think they should have a choice. Using existing resources, NEA will release a public statement in opposition to conversion therapy, reparative therapy, reorientation, or any other process to alter a student's orientation or identity. Why can't we have what we want? What does this have to do with representing teachers? And I would argue it hurts teachers and it hurts children. New business item 37 from 2017. I threw this one in just so you could see the kind of stuff the unions are involved in. This has nothing to do with sex or any of the other stuff. This is just, they're involved in this kind of stuff. Please go online and read their new business items. Last year they had 159 of them. I found 2 that had something to do with kids. One of them had to do with left-handed students, and I don't remember what the other one was. They were all politics. This year there were 129. The problem is teachers don't read these. They don't. They don't even know they exist. I didn't know about that. I was a teacher union leader on my local association executive board for 3 years, and I never even heard of the NEA Representative Assembly. I didn't know. Teachers are in the dark. It's on purpose. We're kept in the dark on purpose. So look what we're funding, teachers, or anyone who's. This cost us $6,500. The NEA will publish an article that documents the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy in 1893, the prolonged illegal occupation of the United States in the Hawaiian Kingdom, and the harmful effects that this occupation has had on the Hawaiian people and the resources of the land. And if you read all of them, you'll start to find out that the NEA they're the people that are behind saying that America's bad, that everything we did was bad. We harmed everybody. Changing the history. Changing the science. It's the teachers' unions, along with their allies. And teachers are funding this. If their allies use their own money and donors give them the money, hey, more power to you. This is a free country. You say and do whatever you want. But they're using teacher money to do this behind our backs and without our permission. New business item 78 from 2017. I just wanted to show you this one. Did you know that NEA, I can't even read it, published an article in NEA Today on the racist origins of standardized testing. Did you know standardized testing was racist? The union thinks it is. It's not fair to somebody. That's pretty harsh language too, racist. You know, there's a lot hate. You've heard a lot of harsh language. Islamophobia, homophobia, all of that harsh, divisive language. It's divisive. I don't know. I know a couple teachers that are divisive, but most of them are kind. They're just loving people who care about the kids. Okay, new business item 120, adopted, you'll notice. The NEA, RA, directs NEA to support in ways it finds appropriate and within the budget the removal of Redskins, Braves, Indians, and Warriors mascots and the imagery associated. Did you know that they're the ones behind that too? Trying to get all these teams and colleges to change their mascots because it offends everyone. I'm Native American, it didn't bother me. I think the names are kind of cool, kind of strong. This is the screenshot of the NEA website. I'm hoping you'll take a look when you get home. If you go right here to new business items, and there's a drop-down menu, and you can see everything I just showed you. Well, if it's from 2018, and then you'll have to go back into archives to find the 2017, but they're all there. And over here, you can find some of the next slides I'm going to share with you, because this year was the first time that they live streamed the NEA Representative Assembly. It's never been live streamed before. So all my friends that I was telling, the NEA claims that they are the world's largest democratic deliberative body. And I told my friends there's nothing democratic about it. And they didn't believe me until they watched the live stream. And they found out, they said to me, hey, they were voting on something. And when they voted, they just said, okay, scream if you're yes, scream if you're no. And the loudest screams won. My friend saw it. She believed me finally. This is how teachers are represented. And if you go as a Christian like me and you say, hey, I've got a problem with this, they bully you. So you can't get a voice. This is a photograph screenshot from the live stream of this year's NEA Representative Assembly, which happened last week in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This gentleman on the right, kneeling during the national anthem, is Eric Hines, the president of the California Teachers Association. That's your president. Kneeling. Did you know the teachers union is behind kneeling during the national anthem? And they gave their most prestigious award last week, the President's Award, to NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. You can find it on the website. Why are teachers funding? I lead the national anthem in my classroom every single morning, and we stand. And we respect the flag, and we say the Pledge of Allegiance, and we start our day with that respect every single day. Why is my union president kneeling? And why are these other folks kneeling too, by the way, during the national anthem? You're funding this, teachers. This is David Hogg. David Hogg supposedly led the gun protests. No, the NEA led, and the American Federation of Teachers. The teachers' unions led the supposed student gun protests. The teachers' unions. They put kids' faces out in the front. I was shocked when I saw David Hogg sitting on the couch next to his parents using the F word over and over again. And I thought, he doesn't represent my students. My students don't speak that way. And my son and his group, on the same day they were all having their gun protests, my son and his group went out and had a counter protest at Orange Coast College. And they told me a bunch of students came up to them and said, we agree with you. We don't even know why we're walking out. Our teachers told us they'd give us extra credit if we walked out today. Okay, it's the teachers' unions behind this stuff. He was the first speaker at the NEA this year, Representative Assembly. I want to know why one of the teachers here who works hard in the classroom every day, who loves the kids. I know, you stay up all night long grading papers, you worry about these kids, you go out and buy them food when they don't have it. I know. I've been a teacher for 28 years. I know what teachers do. Why weren't you up there speaking at the NEA Rep Assembly? Why was it David Hogg? Why didn't you get the President's Award? Why was it Colin Kaepernick? You're the one paying these folks. This is your union. The very first day of the NEA Rep Assembly this year in Minneapolis, Minnesota, maybe you heard, there were big protests all over Minneapolis. Guess where they started? At the hotel where the NEA was held, and the NEA led the protests. That's what they do all over the country. They lead protests. Every time you turn on your television and there's a protest, the NEA is behind it. or part of it, or helped organize it. They're part of it. So this is, they want to abolish ICE. That's really nice behavior for that young lady. That's all I can say about that sign. They closed down multiple streets. It costs these communities money when these folks block the way and do all this stuff. These are expensive. These protests cost the taxpayers money, in police officers and all of that. Here's some more for you. Just, did you know, teachers, that you're for sanctuary cities? Now, some teachers might be, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But a lot of teachers aren't. They shouldn't be paying for it if they're not in agreement with it, right? Well, all teachers are paying for sanctuary cities because the unions want sanctuary cities. And by the way, here we are, CTA. There we are, California Teachers Association. We're in the march. There we are. I bet most of us wouldn't have taken part in that protest. Okay, so I want to hop back real quick to comprehensive sexuality education just for a minute before I show you the rest of my slides. Several teacher friends of mine have been exposed to these curriculums now. I've read them in the privacy of my home and been shocked. They've been exposed because their district, is implementing them, and so they've been part of the trainings. Every teacher I've spoken to who's been part of these trainings is mortified and terrified. One teacher told me he was going to take 2 weeks off of work to avoid teaching it. My question was, what about the kids? Because I'd rather have him teaching it than Planned Parenthood. Here's the problem. Every teacher I know goes running to their union. Oh my gosh, you see this comprehensive, this is horrible, I don't want to teach this. They go running to the union. The local union is almost always great. They're mortified too. They don't want to teach this stuff. The local union goes, oh my gosh, yeah, we got to stop this. And they do, they fight. But what they don't know is that the state and national union are the reason it's in your school. Okay, that's the disconnect for teachers. They don't know. They just don't know how their money's being spent at the state and national level. They've been kept ignorant on purpose. So I fight for local, even though the union says I don't, even though they say I'm anti-union. That's a lie. I'm totally pro-local union. I was a local union leader. My local teachers liked me, and we worked together. But every time we wanted to do something good, guess who stopped it? The UNISERV director, who was supposedly supporting us from the state level, and the state level would stop us. If districts refuse to implement comprehensive sexuality education, the ACLU comes in and harasses. Every school board member I have spoken to is afraid of being sued by the ACLU. So there's that harassment piece. The one thing I want to say to teachers before I show the rest of the slides, if there are any teachers here, is I know it's really scary to stand up against the state and national teachers unions. They're scary. But we're the hope. Teachers, we're the hope because we're funding this. We are the hope for all these parents and kids because we are funding it, whether we like it or not. We can't stick our heads in the sand anymore. A lot of teachers won't even talk to me. They hate my guts because I dared to sue the teachers union. This is why I sued the teachers union. This parent came to me in 2013. I've been researching this stuff for years and years and years. This is why I sued him. Teachers believe the union talking points, that I'm a free rider and all that other stuff. I didn't care about paying dues. Who cares? That's nothing. It's just money. I care about the kids. I care about the parents. I care about American values, Judeo-Christian values. And I'm tired of our schools being undermined and taken over. And I'm tired of our children being indoctrinated. That's why I sued the unions. Okay, so I want to show everybody something, and I think teachers in the room will be shocked. So this next slide shows you how your dues are divided, teachers. They just upped it on you, by the way. These are the new numbers. I'll tell you the old numbers too. The average California teacher pays $1,000 in union dues each year. That's average. My husband paid $1,200, and he wasn't even a member. He was a non-member fee payer. But around $1,000. This is how it's divided. Check this out. The California Teachers Association, the state union that's pushing all this sex ed and stuff, they get $700. The National Education Association, the ones you looked at all their new business items, they get $192. The local, the teachers that do all the work, that do all the negotiating, that stick up for their friends when they get in trouble, that when there's a bad administrator who's harassing you, I know, I was that local rep. I was the one sitting in that room with that teacher and that bad administrator. I've been there. I was a volunteer. We get 108. That's what we get. You wonder why you don't have much money to do the stuff you really need to do? There's why. These are the new numbers. To be fair to the unions, they just upped these numbers about, I don't know, a month ago or something. They used to be $656 went to CTA, $182 went to NEA. And the local would keep like $157 or something like that out of 1,000. So you can it still wasn't right. It's just not right. They're not representing us. So the 108 is probably representing you well. The rest of it is not. So, on my birthday, June 27th, 2018, the United States Supreme Court came down with a decision and said yes to people who disagree with funding these unions. In a case called Janus versus AFS-CME, our case that went before the court first, Friedrichs versus California Teachers Association, all we wanted was freedom. We just wanted the choice to say, no, I'm not funding that stuff. I want to opt out and I want to pay them nothing. Because for 41 years, teachers could opt out. We could opt out of membership and we could opt out of dues, but we could not opt out of representation and we couldn't opt out of fees. We still had to pay fees. So like I mentioned, my husband was a non-member fee payer. He paid $1,200 a year in fees. So they're still spending his money on all this stuff. You couldn't really opt out. Now you suddenly can. All of a sudden, as of June 27th, any teacher or any government employee across the United States can opt out of unions and pay them zilcho. Nothing, nada. Okay? And if anybody you know wants to learn about opting out, all they have to do is come to our website, which I'll put up at the end, and we have a map of the entire country. They hover over their state, and they can find out how to opt out, because the unions always make it really complex. The trouble is, you'll notice at the bottom that oh, here it is in my other hand. That's the blonde roots. I can't help it. Unions still have exclusive bargaining privileges because they insist on them. So they call me a free rider because I don't want their representation. And they say, well, to the judges, well, we have to represent her. Well, they asked for the right to represent everybody. The first thing they ask for when you start a union is we want exclusive representation rights. We want monopoly power. They won't even represent you if you don't give them that, which means they have to represent everyone in the union shop. So you don't have a choice. You can't say, hey, you're spending all my money on abusive sex ed curriculums. I want to get a different union. Can't do. Can't do. You're stuck with that one. We didn't think that was right. So our case was, please just give us the freedom to not pay these folks. They're insisting on the exclusive rep. Please, we just don't want to pay them. Well, as you learned, when our case was before the court, Justice Scalia died. So then we lost the 4-4 tie. But Mark Janus had a case right behind us out of Illinois. His case was in the appeals courts, and he made it up to the Supreme Court this year, and the decision came down June 27th. So now people can opt out and pay nothing. Here's the problem, though. The unions still have that representation, right? So what the unions did was they connected all three levels of the union. So you have local, state, and national. They're all one connected club. If you opt out of one, you opt out of them all. So you can't stay in your local and reject the state national. It's not legal. You can't do it, which is so aggravating because every single teacher I have met, talked to thousands of teachers across this country. I have not done a scientific poll, but every single one I talked to asked me the exact same question. Can I keep my local and ditch the state and national? Makes sense to me. That's what I want to do too. We like to stand together. There are some bad administrators out there. There are some abusive administrators out there, especially since the state national union got a lot of them into our schools. So they have an agenda instead of really helping teachers and kids. Well, that's the problem. We can't just ditch those two and stay in our local right now. We have the right, but it's complex. So let me explain that to you. So what we're starting at For Kids and Country is a Keep Your Local campaign. And we're trying to get the word out to anyone who's an employee, but teachers are obviously close to my heart because I am one. So we're starting this Keep Your Local campaign. You have always had the right to do this. Always. Even before the Janice case came down. If 51% of teachers in a bargaining unit can vote to decertify the entire web of union representation, so you decertify your local, your state, your national, gone. Okay? Now, those same teachers can then reorganize their local-only association, saving hundreds of dollars a year, supporting their local, and giving nothing to politics. Sounds great to me. Maybe you spend $200 a year instead of $1,200. You're already doing all the work. You can hire a lawyer with the money you collect. Even if you charge $200 a year, you still have more money because right now you're only getting $108, right, of that $1,000. Okay, there are many organizations available to help you and to provide liability insurance for you too, because unions always tell you, oh, you're going to get sued, you don't have liability insurance. We got that for you. The unions give you $1 million in coverage. These organizations give you $2 million. So it's even better coverage. So our campaign will be posted on our For Kids and Country website. We had to go back and have the web builders do some extra work so that we can handle all the information. They were supposed to be done today, but I haven't heard anything. Give us about a week. In about a week, we should have all the information up for you. Today, though, you can go on there and learn how to opt out. Because right now, really, the only option is opt out. If you don't want to pay for all this crazy stuff we're talking about, you can opt out immediately and pay them nothing. And some of your teacher friends will be mad at you. Show them this video. Let them learn. Start educating them. Say, look, we need to stand up for the kids. We need to do what's right. We need to be teachers together, not these people who are using us. They're using us. They're using us. And they're using our sweet faces and the sweet faces of our students and our once very respected profession. They've degraded our profession. We can get it back. We're great people. We can be respected again. Most people love us. They just can't figure out why we're involved in all this stuff. We're not. So let's show them. So we'll have all the information for you. There will be an interactive page where you can click on all of these already organized associations that can help you across the country. You can link in with them and they can help you because it's a process. The hardest part is decertifying, and it's because the unions are bullies. They'll bully you. You just have to know that. They're going to bully you. They call Karen and me the spawn of Satan because we dared to bring a lawsuit. The guy that was kneeling, Eric Hines, he calls us the spawn of Satan. It's not a very nice thing to say, is it? Okay, so that's how you keep your local, and you'll learn more on our website if you're interested. But remember, give us a week. And the other campaign we're starting is called Adopt a Teacher, and this is for the rest of you in the room that are not teachers. This campaign's really close to my heart, and all of these campaigns for me, because I'm just close to God, these are ideas that He placed on my heart to help bring kindness back in the classroom, to help love on teachers, to help America to understand that teachers have been bullied for a really long time, and we're scared, and we can't do this by ourselves. And if you want your kids protected, we need your help. Please help us. Don't leave us stranded. Because we've been bullied by those people that created that hate map and stuff. Every day. When I dared to stand up because I believe in school choice, my union rep called me a radical right-winger in a staff meeting. And that was in the 90s. They just bully us. We need your help. So please, will you adopt a teacher and employ the 6 E's? This will be on our website too. Find a teacher. Everybody knows a teacher. Most people know more than one. They're all over your churches and your neighborhood. They're in your family. They're the annoying people that tell you what to do and boss you around. My husband always says, quit treating me like a third grader. I don't do it on purpose. It just comes natural. So you know, those are teachers, right? Find them. Yeah, you all can relate to me. There are some teachers in the room or people married to them. Okay, so first embrace them. They've been beat up for a long time and they're not going to believe you at first. Because they didn't know all the stuff you just learned. They thought, oh, their union was their friends at their local, and they thought that's who we were attacking. No, we just don't want to support this other stuff. Educate them. They're videotaping this. Show them this. Take them to our website. There's all kinds. Take them to that NEARA, you know, all those new business items. That's 20 minutes of that. They'll be ready. Enlighten them. Help them to just, they've been in the dark for a really long time. They've been deceived. So help them to come out of that. That's a process. It's a healing process, and it takes time. They might get mad at you for a while. They've been mad at me for a long time. Empathize with them. Once they figure out they've been duped and used, empathize. Put your arm around them and say, I'm really sorry this happened to you. Encourage them. Say, hey, you can do it. I'm standing with you. I'm not going to let you go in alone when the unions start all these strikes and all this angry stuff, because they will. Now that the Janus case passed, there's going to be all kinds of strikes. Teachers are going to be pressured to strike. I don't know one teacher that wants to hold a picket sign. Not one. They all want to be in the classroom teaching. But the unions put a few activist teachers in the front who scream, and you look at the eyes. The rest of the teachers are just going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. That's how we all feel. None of us want to strike. We love the kids. But the unions want us to strike so they can get more money from the taxpayer. That's all it's about. Money and power for the unions, not for the teachers. And then empower them. Teachers can't do it alone. They won't do it alone. It's too scary. So stand with them. Adopt a teacher's like, this is my most important, exciting. Please do it. Okay. And then this is our website, or this is our, for Kids and Country, our new little, very little, just started by my husband and me and my 22-year-old son. Just a little organization, people who love teachers, wonderful teachers like Karen Quinn who support us and come out and join our efforts. And we need teachers, teachers, teachers. Stephanie Yates joined us. She's a wonderful mom. We have all these wonderful people. Angela's here. She's joined us. For Kids and Country is just an organization that wants to do this. This is our mission statement. By the way, the unions will tell you other things. They're not true. Here's our mission statement. Engaging, uniting, educating, and empowering parents, teachers, students, faith leaders, and citizens in the fight to restore our schools and culture. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? That's good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we call it For Kids and Country because it's not who we are. It's not about us. And it's not about what we're against. It's about who we're for. We're for the kids, and we're for the greatest country that has ever been on this earth. And we don't want to lose it. We don't want to lose it. Now, teachers, I know this is scary, but especially if you are a believer in God, He calls you to be courageous, and He calls you to protect the weak, especially the children that He has specifically entrusted to your care. If you are a teacher, God has called you. I mean, that's even in the list of callings in the New Testament. He has called you to a very important, sacred calling. And you are there to protect those children. And if we keep putting our heads in the sand and letting this organization that takes our money pay for this kind of stuff, we are guilty. Because I'm sorry, now you're educated. So you can't get away with it anymore. We are guilty if we continue to allow this. I cannot educate every teacher in California by myself or across the country by myself. Neither can the wonderful volunteers that have been stepping up with For Kids and Country. We can't do it ourselves. We've been trying. We need your help. So we hope you'll join our team. And the one thing about teachers that I just have to say is I've noticed that teachers like to play it safe. We like to stand on the shore and just let our feet get wet, but we don't like to jump into the waves. It's time to jump in. So I'm going to play a song for you, And I don't even know if all of you believe in God, but I hope it's a Christian song. I hope that that's okay with everybody. But it's a song that I hope inspires you to get involved and to protect the kids.
I stand before you now, the greatness of your renown. I've heard of the majesty and wonder of you, King of heaven. In humility I bow as your love, and wave after wave crashes over me, crashes over me. For you are for us, you are not against us. Champion of heaven, you made a way for all to enter in. I have heard you calling my name. I have heard the song of love that you sing. Oh, so I will let you draw me out beyond the shore into your grace. Oh, your grace as your love, and wave after wave crashes over me, crashes over me. For you are for us, and you are not against us. Champion of heaven, you made a way for all to enter in. And you make me brave, you make me brave. You call me out beyond the shore into the waves. You make me brave, you make me brave. No fear can hinder now the love that made a way. You make me brave, you make me brave. You call me out beyond the shore into the waves. You make me brave, you make me brave. No fear can hinder now the promises you made, because your love, and wave after wave crashes over me, crashes over me. For you are for us, and you are not against us. Champion of heaven, you made a way. Champion of heaven, you made a way for all to enter in.
So I just wanted to play that, hoping it would give our teachers courage. That's my hope, because it's scary. And I want to tell you one quick little story, a personal story. And you guys are getting a little preview of my book, by the way. I've shared some stuff from my book, which it'll be available for pre-sale in a few weeks online, and it'll come out sometime in the fall. We don't have a pub date yet, but it's called Standing Up to Goliath. And I think you know who Goliath is. But I knew a lot of this stuff, and I was trying to make a difference from the inside as a teacher union rep. And I kept speaking up with my teacher friends, and we kept getting bullied and shouted down and told no, and it's all kinds of stories that you can read them in the book. They're all there. But I came to a point where I realized God really spoke to my heart. You're done trying to make a difference from the inside. And that was at my district level too. I was going to school board meetings, all kinds of stuff, couldn't make a difference. And I remember the day I was just doing my morning Bible study, and where God just kind of released me from that desire to try to change it from the inside. I'd been doing it for 25 years, it was a long time. And a question stared me in the face in my Bible study. Anybody do Beth Moore? She's a toughie. She doesn't let you get away with anything. So it was a Beth Moore study, and I'm doing a little study. She asked a question. Is there something God's been asking you to do, and you have disobeyed him? You know you're supposed to do it, and you have not done it. I knew immediately I was supposed to be writing for publication. I was writing. Oh boy, was I writing. 3 people got to hear it at my writing group every week. But I knew I was supposed to be writing for publication. I knew it. And so I wrote there, yes, Well, then she was the whammy. I should have read ahead. So the whammy was, well, now that you've, admitted that, or written that, will you give it to God and obey him? Take the next step. And I went, whoa, I don't know about that. So I prayed on that question for 3 days. I didn't even answer it for 3 days because I didn't want to say yes and then screw up and then be Jonah in the belly of a whale or something. So I prayed on it for 3 days. In that 3 days, I don't hear voices or anything like that. Just, that still small voice in your heart. That voice in my heart took me to the story of the widow's mite. And in case you don't know it, Jesus was with his disciples, and there's this woman, and she was a widow, and she was very poor. And she dropped 2 mites into the offering jar, and that's like 2 pennies. It's nothing. She dropped it in, and Jesus said she just gave more than any of the wealthy, because she gave out of her nothing. She gave out of her faith. And what God said to my heart was, that's all I'm asking of you, Rebecca. Just give me your 2 mites. I will do the rest. It's my problem to get you a connection. I didn't have a connection to a newspaper or anybody, not even the free one in my city. So that's my job. I'll get you the connection to the newspaper. Don't worry about it. You just obey me. So I started writing editorials. The first one was rejected. I said, see, God, I told you. I'm not any good at this. Well, he used that little step of faith. I was terrified. But I knew I had to let my community know that the teachers' union wasn't telling the truth. They were taking my money and my friends' money and spending it on things that were hurting our kids in our country. So I wanted to write about it. And so I did, finally got something published. Do you know that little step of faith, within 6 months, I was lead plaintiff in a national lawsuit against the CTA and the NEA? The story is 2 mites go a long way in God's economy. It's God's battle, not mine. He just asked me to give that. So here's where it gets really cool. That Christmas, my sister gives me this necklace that I'm wearing. I wear it every single day, even if it doesn't match my outfit, which is tough for a woman, but that's how special it is to me. So my sister gives me this necklace. I open it up. No, I had told no one about the widow's mite. Not even my husband. It was just my private Bible study time. Nobody knew the widow's mite gave me courage. So my sister gives me this necklace. I open it up. I go, wow, it's beautiful. It looks like an antique. And she goes, oh yeah, she's the woman who makes it. She finds an antique and she builds a piece of jewelry around it. She goes, I just knew you had to have this. By the way, she never buys me a gift, never has since for Christmas. Just that Christmas. We give to the kids. So, all right, so I said, wow, what? She goes, well, see that thing inside the glass ball? She goes, that's a widow's mite from Israel. I get the chills every time I tell the story. She goes, you know the story? I said, do I know it? I'm living it. So I put it around my neck and I told her, this is my lawsuit necklace. I was wearing this necklace in the courtroom during oral arguments, sitting next to Karen Quinn. I was wearing this necklace the day Justice Scalia died. I was wearing this necklace the day I found out we lost. I was wearing this necklace on my birthday in 2016 when I found out our request for a rehearing had been denied and we were done. And I was wearing it on my birthday this year when Mark Janis won. So it's a pretty cool necklace. I'll never take it off. I don't sleep in it. But I tell you that story because it is scary. But once you take that first step, God shows up. And he's even so sweet, he sent me a necklace. It's got a whole world to run, and he sends me a necklace because he knew I was going to need it. He knew I was going to need it. And so just take the first step, and he'll show up, and he'll keep showing up. And you can contact us through our website, and you can call me and cry, and I'll listen. We'll all listen to you. Just take the first step, and pretty soon you won't be scared anymore. It's not as scary anymore because you find out it's not your battle. It's not your problem. You're just supposed to speak out, or you're just whatever God tells you to do.